Hi everyone. So I just wanted to go over how to make a graph in case you've never done it before, you need a refresher. So here's just some simple, data tables that we're just going to practice. I think that it is an important skill, whether that's in bio, chemistry, physics, for anything for that matter. So it's good to know the skill. So let's practice. This problem says to answer the questions below and then construct a line graph. So this one was nice enough to tell us to construct a line graph. So that's what we're going to do. You can use graph paper if you'd like. Regular paper is also okay. It's just going to depend on how you format the lines here. So here's my graph. That one's kind of wonky. There we go. So here's my graph here. And so we have three data things. So I'm actually going to just X this one out just so we can do it one thing at a time. So we're just going to focus on these two right here, right? So here's a trick. Usually the first column of numbers is always going to be your x-axis and your second column is going to be your y-axis, which then begs the question, well, what about the other one? That's why we're going to just ignore it for now. So we're just going to focus on these two. So remember that you're going to need titles and labels on your graphs. So for our x-axis, which is going to be this horizontal line here, it's going to be depth in water, and then it says meters, so we want to include our units there. And then the other one, your y-axis is number of bubbles per minute. So you want to include your labels. If I was grading you on this, if you are missing labels, then you're not going to get full points. Right now, we have to figure out what the range is in the bottom. So the easiest way is to look at what the lowest number is and what the highest number is. So looking at the x-axis, the lowest number seems to be 2 and the highest number seems to be 30. So you can go at it, a couple different ways. I mean, you can number from 0 to 30 if you'd like, but that's going to take forever. You can go by 2s, you can even go by 5s if you'd like, right? It just depends on how big you want the graph to be. So let me try going by 2s and see. That might be too small for our page here. So let me just try it anyway. So that's 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. So actually it fits, so we're good. Now I'm going to put my little tick marks right here so that I know where to put my data points. So that takes care of the bottom, right? And again, it's up to you. If you want to go by 5s, that's okay as well, right? And then next one, the y-axis. So the smallest number seems to be 10, and the largest number seems to be 45. So I'll go by 5s on this one. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and then 45. So you want to just make sure that you encompass the entire range of numbers, right? You don't want it to be, too far or too small. Okay, so those are our axes numbers. So now what we're going to do is we're going to plot the data points. So all you need to do, just erase these. All you need to do is find the x and then find the y and then plot them together. So for example, the first data points are 2 and 29. So you're going to find 2 on your x-axis, which is going to be right here. And I'm just going to highlight it. I'm going to put it away later. And then you're going to find 29, which is going to be a little bit below that 30, right? So all you're going to do is you're going to trace them together, and then you're going to end up with a data point right here. You're going to put a dot, right? And then the next one is going to be 5 and 36. So I'm going to find 5, which is going to be between 4 and 6, and then 36, which is going to be a little over 35. So I'm going to trace it, and then your data point is going to end up somewhere over here. Right, next one is 10 and 45. So 10 is right here, 45 is over here. So we're going to put that right there. So you see how they're all, you know, meeting up right here. So hopefully, again, this is a review. So if you've never done graphing before, this is why we're practicing. Okay, next one is 1632. So 16 is right there, 32. It's going to be somewhere over here. And we're just estimating, right? As long as it's close, you're fine. 25 and 20. 20 is right here, 25. And then 30 and 10, which is going to be right here. Right, so those are all our data points. There should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You should have 6 data points, which is what we have. So I'm gonna erase these lines here. So after you do your graph, after you plot your points, then we're gonna connect the dots because it is a line graph, so that means you gotta connect the dots as well as you can. Right, so that one goes there, that one goes there, and then that one goes down like that. Right? We are not done quite yet. So we need a title. Right? You can come up with something that relates between bubbles and depth of water, right? Or you can just go the easy route and just go depth in water meters versus number of bubbles. Bubbles per minute. There you go. Simple, concise, to the point. If you want to get all frilly and creative with it, you can, but that's a simple, quick one. Right? So again, you need a title, axes labels, your numbers, and then the correct line graph, which we made here. Now, if we were for some reason doing this one, what you're actually going to do is you're going to make the same graph as if we're avoiding this and ignoring that, and you would just plot it. But we'll do that another time. We don't want to make it too complicated. Right? So let's answer the questions. Let me get rid of all these unnecessary checks. So it's asking us, what is our dependent variable? Hopefully you remember from our lecture that the dependent variable is the one that's being measured. So what are we measuring? Are we measuring depth in water, or are we measuring number of bubbles per minute? Hopefully you said number of bubbles per minute. And then which leaves us with the other one, independent variable. That's the one that is changing. The scientist, the person conducting the experiment, is the one changing this. Which then we only have one other choice, which is depth in water and then meters. You gotta make sure you put your units in there. And then what title would you give that graph? We gave it 1, which is that one right there. Right, so that's how you make a line graph. Let me show you another example here. So this is the same, just a different scenario. So same thing, right? You're gonna make your lines. The graph paper is just easier to use just because it has the boxes there for you. Easier to make straight lines with that one. So same thing, just for clarity's sake, we're going to ignore that one. Right? And then this is your x-axis, this is your y-axis. So my x-axis is age of the tree in years. And then the other one is average thickness. I'm just going to abbreviate a little bit here. Average thickness of annual rains in centimeters. Right? And then you're going to do your ranges. And this one looks like it's in easy 10, so I'm just going to go with 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. And then this one, it looks like we have some decimals in there, so we got to account for those. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go by like 0.5. Right? So 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, and then 4.5. Alright, so same thing we're going to do. We're going to go 10 and 2.0. So 2.0 is going to be right here. You go 20 and 2.2. 2.2 is going to be a little bit between those two. We got 30, 3.5, which is going to be right here. And we got 35, 3.0, so 35 is going to be somewhere over here. We got 4.5, or sorry, 50 and 4.5. And then 60 and 4.3, which is going to be right here. So these, I probably could have spaced them a little better because they're a little squished there. So like connect the dots, make sure you're connecting the correct dots to each other. And then there's your line graph, right? Here we go with the easy quick title. Just put age of the tree in years versus average thickness of annual rings in centimeters. And there you go. You would get full points for that graph. Right? Same thing. It's going to ask you for dependent and independent variable. So dependent variable, what are we measuring? We are measuring average thickness of annual rings. And again, your clue here is because it's your y-axis. Right? And then independent variable is usually your x-axis, so that's going to be the age of the tree. Right? So what this experiment is doing is they're trying to measure how many rings are there in the tree if they are this age. Right? And that's what we're looking at. So if we were going to interpret this data or, just figure out what it's saying, so this graph is saying that as the age of the trees increase, so does the average thickness of annual rings. So that's how you would analyze that graph. Right? And then again. So last one, we're gonna do a bar graph. Same idea, only you're doing a bar instead of a line. So same thing, we're going to make our line. Right, and then just like the other one, here is your X and here is your Y. So our scenario is a survey of students' favorite after-school activities was conducted, and here's the data. Right, so our X-axis will be the activity, and then our Y-axis is number of students. So this one's going to be a little bit different because the X-axis are words and the Y-axis are numbers. So instead of doing numbers on the bottom, just write it out. So the first one is sports. I'm gonna write it sideways so maybe it'll fit better. So sports, we got phone, we got friends. I'm just abbreviating so that it'll fit better. We got money, chatting, clubs, and TV. Right, and then our numbers, again, you want to make sure that you encompass all of them. So we got 22 is our lowest and 99 is our highest. So I think I'm gonna go by tens here. So this is 0, we got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and then 100. Okay, and this one, instead of using dots, we're going to use bars, right? So sports, it says that 45 of them play sports. So you're going to find in between 50 and 40, and then you're going to draw a bar, just like that. It goes up to about 45. Phone is 53, so you're going to go a little bit above 53, which is about right there. And then we'll do that. Friends, we got 99, so almost 100, not quite, so I'm not going to hit that top line. Sorry, my lines are all kind of funky. Money is 44, so that's going to be a little bit closer to that middle mark, but not quite. Chatting online is 66, so between 70 and 60. Clubs, we got 22, so it's just a tiny bit over that 20 mark. And then TV is 37. And then that's it. One thing we're missing, hopefully you noticed as well, is we don't have a title yet. So here you go, your easy title. We're gonna go activity versus number of students. And it's just that easy. Usually I would want you guys to color code your bar graphs, but you don't have to right now since this is just an example, but usually I would want different colors representing your different bar graphs. I might run out of colors actually. Something like that. It's a little messy, but hopefully you guys get the idea. Right, and then you would have two more colors. So this one doesn't ask the question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Which one is our dependent and which one is our independent? So independent variable, again, that is your x-axis. So this is our independent variable. And then our dependent variable, of course, we only have one other choice, is that one right there. Right, so if you need extra help with graphing, let me know. If you need to rewatch it again because I went a little too fast, that's okay, right? You have the power to pause and restart and rewatch as much as possible. Right, so we're going to do a little bit more practice, but that's a refresher for you if you need it.